Modern fashion. Two words that can mean different things depending on who you ask, but something that is understood no matter who you ask are the pioneers of this style. And I am here to highlight two of the architects of modern fashion. But the start of this story takes place in the late 70s in Rockford, Illinois, when Virgil Abloh and his parents moved from Ghana. With Virgil's mother working as a seamstress, he learned how to use a sewing machine and his fashion story began. But the journey doesn't actually start until later. See, Virgil went on to college and gained his bachelor's in civil engineering. He went back for his master's in architecture. While being on his college campus, he stumbled upon a building which had a large metal tube in order to muffle the sound of the train. And this sparked something within Virgil to start studying design and fashion. Now, while Virgil was getting his degree, he had other hobbies such as DJing house parties, making shirts at a local print shop, which is where Virgil ran into Don C, who was the manager of Kanye West at the time, who hadn't really popped off yet. They end up chopping it up, and Virgil becomes somewhat of a creative architect for Ye. Kanye has an idea, Virgil brings it to life. Then Kanye drops one of his most iconic albums, College Dropout. He gains notoriety, fame, and the industry starts to recognize him. Because before, people thought he was weird because of his sense of style, and his music didn't fit into the hardcore rap scene, which was super popular at this time. So now Kanye is more established and accepted into the culture. That weird style that people once criticized became a staple. The vibrant colored polos and the striped sweaters. Virgil helped to make some of Kanye's first brands that never dropped, like Mascot, which is supposed to be like the preppy clothes, because that's kind of what he wore, like the polos and stuff like that with the little bear on it, but that never ended up coming out. We don't know as to why it never came out, but it just never did. It seemed like he was just trying to be more intentional about his clothing, so he didn't want to put something out and it just seemed kind of disingenuous, or it just seemed like the bear slapped on just a polo tee. Then him and Virgil tried to create another brand called Pastel, which was supposed to be a mix between high fashion and streetwear. This brand was never released as well. And even though these brands never came out, the work that they put in was real. Learning how to create a brand was essential to how they would later become the fashion icons of today. So let's fast forward a little bit. After dropping 808s and Heartbreak, which Virgil directed the art for, Virgil and Kanye went to Paris in 2009 to intern for Fendi. But when they came back, this is when they really started to blur the lines between high fashion and streetwear and shape the modern landscape of fashion. Now, something happened while they were in Paris. Kanye did something that was never heard of and still is very rare to this day. He collaborated with Louis Vuitton to create his own sneaker. At this time, this was unprecedented and so unheard of for two reasons. Firstly, these high-end brands don't usually collab, especially with the rapper. And I think Kanye, correct me if I'm wrong, was the first collaboration with a rapper and maybe the only collaboration that I know of. You don't really see collabs from high-end brands like that. Margiela did just do a collab with Supreme. You don't see that often. Like, they usually just make their own pieces and just go about their life. Like, they don't usually collaborate with other brands, like, let alone just a person to create a shoe, especially in 2009. Like, they weren't even creating shoes like that. That leads me into my second reason why this is so crazy. Because luxury brands didn't make shoes at this time. Like, you have to understand, Kanye and the people that listened to him weren't Louis Vuitton's target audience at all. But they realized how valuable Kanye is, and it would bring new people into their market. And you could really say the reason all of these luxury brands have sneaker lines is because of Kanye. Most of the luxury brands that made shoes were already established. Like, that's what made them a top tier brand, was the shoe. Like, that was their main thing. That's their main piece that they were selling, like Christian Louboutin. Creating an entire new line for sneakers wasn't really a thing with high fashion brands back in 2009. Like, that wasn't a thing that you would see. It wasn't prominent. So a lot of things that Kanye and Virgil did were new and seem regular to us now. In this same year, Kanye also made his first shoe with Nike and changed the game again. Kanye was the first person that wasn't an athlete to have a sneaker deal with with Nike. He started the trend of Nike signing people outside of athletes. You can argue that without Kanye, there is no Travis Scott. Like without Kanye, there isn't anyone else outside of people who are getting signed for sneaker deals who aren't athletes, which is actually insane because you see all of the new collabs and stuff like that with rappers. Not even just Nike, like any shoe. A lot of rappers weren't collabing with different brands with shoes, or the brands weren't giving them the recognition that they deserved. And so Kanye paved the way for all these other creators, especially the black tastemakers in the community. He made a way for all of them. Now, Virgil went on to design the cover art for many iconic rap albums, like albums for Pusha T, Lil Wayne, and even Lil Uzi. In 2012, Virgil designed the art for Watch the Throne, and it got a Grammy nomination. He also directed the art for Dark Twisted Fantasy and Yeezus. And as you know, Kanye went on to make classic hits that would further his career. And just like that, Virgil and Kanye became an iconic duo. But it didn't end there. This was just the beginning. Virgil gained major notoriety when he branched off and started his own clothing brand, Pyrex Vision. Virgil was smart, so he didn't have to pay a whole bunch of money for marketing. He had connections. So all he had to do was put his brand on his celebrity friends, people such as Kanye, Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar, Kylie Jenner, and A$AP Rocky. But this brand did not last long, but it was never intended to. Pyrex was only around for a year and ended because he got a cease and desist from Pyrex, the glass company. But Virgil would take blanks from Champion or Ralph Lauren and screen print Renaissance art on the front and Pyrex on the back with the 23, which was just the number of his favorite player, of course, Michael Jordan. And those pieces would sell for $500. And that's not even the crazy part. He was never buying these blanks wholesale. He would literally just go into the store and buy them for retail and make 1,000% profit. But this brand had such a deeper meaning.
High fashion was still at its most gatekept, its most exclusive, and above all, its whitest when Pyrex first hit the scene. By charging hundreds for a Champion hoodie, it wasn't so much an act of trying to pull a fast one on the consumer, the brand of hoodie was right there on the sleeve, but rather a larger statement to the higher-ups who determined what was and wasn't fashion. The Pyrex hoodie takes the idea of what high fashion is and upends it entirely. It asks, what draws the line between a $600 Givenchy hoodie and a $500 Champion hoodie? Is it the person making it, where and how it's presented, or who is wearing it? All through the simple act of pricing and marketing. Virgil took the tropes that were so stigmatized and forced onto an entire race and put them on a billboard that you can wear around, while also making a statement through the garment itself.
But not long after this, Virgil started another brand that would be synonymous with who he is. Off-White was founded in Milan, Italy in 2013. This changed fashion forever, blending high fashion and streetwear, which had never been done so tastefully. He had culminated everything he learned, from helping Kanye make his brand, to working for Fendi, to printing on blanks from Champion to Paris Fashion Week. This brand made Virgil one of the most prominent fashion designers of this era. So this begged the question, why? Why were Virgil's pieces so polarizing while not much being done to the actual garment? Virgil used a very simple concept. Even when he was creating pieces for Pyrex, he called it the 3% rule. Simply put, it's just taking something that already exists and changing it by 3%. Taking things that already exist and changing them slightly to fit your taste. That's what Virgil's art was. Now, while all this was happening, Kanye dropped Nike because he wasn't getting any royalties and switched to Adidas, which was another first. Kanye was the first person to drop a Nike shoe deal, but he knew his worth. He knew that they were just using him as long as he was valuable, and he wasn't as valuable to them as their athletes. Even when his shoes were selling out and reselling for thousands of dollars, and everyone thought that this switch to Adidas was crazy because no one wore them. Of course, you had the silhouettes like the shell toes, but like no one was really wearing Adidas all that much. People were also wearing like the Ultra Boost and stuff, but there weren't a lot of people who were really rocking Adidas. But when the Yeezy 350 dropped, everything changed. No one was saying anything about not not rocking Adidas. All the influencers, celebrities, and trendsetters were wearing them. And at this time, Adidas sales surpassed Jordans in the US, and Yeezys went on to be some of the most iconic shoes and changed the landscape of sneakers. Like, bro, the Turtle Doves, do you understand how much bread the Turtle Doves were reselling for? Bro, they were, when they first dropped, bro, they were insane, bro. And in my opinion, I think the Yeezy V2 is better than the V1. The V1 was cool, but it was unrefined. Like, you can tell from the V2, like, they perfected this model of the shoe. Now, after this, we see Virgil create something that resonate with the people, and probably the craziest project that he's tackled. This was a true culmination of everything he learned and the true essence of his 3% rule. In 2017, Nike collaborated with Off-White to create something never seen before. With 10 of the most iconic Nike shoes, he virtually turned the shoes inside out, with the inside stitching being revealed and deconstructed. These were so crazy, and I would dare say this was Virgil's peak. You have to understand the hype around these shoes was insane at this time. I would say they were probably the most hyped shoes to come out of my generation. When I think of hype, I literally think of the Off-White Chicago Jordan 1s. Not only the hype, but someone who has been part of the culture for years, has been a prominent figure in fashion industry for years as well. This felt like he finally got his chance, or got his shot to do something that would be ingrained in the culture for years to come. Jordan 1, Prestos, Air Force 1, Air Max 90, Air Max 97, Vapor Max, Blazer, Hyperdunk, Zoom Fly, and the Chuck Taylor. To be able to take 10 of the most iconic shoe silhouettes and pay homage and even revive some of the hype for some of these shoes is just amazing. And to do this, and I will always highlight this, to do this as a black man, it just means more to me personally. A black man collaborating with Nike, not just collaborating with a shoe with Nike, collaborating with 10 shoes, not even 10 shoes, it was 9 shoes. And then he collaborated with Converse to make an Off-White Chuck Taylor, bro. This is insane. This is a Ghanaian man. This is an African man doing this. This has never been heard of before. First, it's hard to do a collaboration with another brand, especially with an iconic sneaker, because people will criticize it. But people were so receptive to this, I think because it was Virgil, because they knew who it was and they knew the identity of this person and his brand identity as well. So it just was a well mesh, and people were excited to see it. And it's not just these 10 shoes. Remember, he had the 1 through 50, the 50 dunks. He did those. Like, everything about Virgil's shoes just different from what you've seen, but it wasn't too different. Like, it wasn't too out there. It wasn't too much going on. And that's the 3% rule. You just change something by a very small amount and it makes everything pop. All he did was deconstruct the shoe. All he did was turn the materials that were usually used inside of the shoe outside of the shoe. He made the shoe see-through so you can see the materials that it was made of. It looks like an unfinished shoe, but it was so beautifully done that you can't even, it was amazing. Like the Jordan 4, the sales, crazy, bro. Both of the Jordan 5s, I mean, I prefer the white ones, but both are crazy. And just when you think it doesn't get better than this, just when you think the hype is at its height, the biggest it's ever been, he becomes the first black man as a creative director of Louis Vuitton. That is so insane. He wasn't just a designer, he was a person who opened up doors for other people and really made the culture shine, and was accepted in the culture and was deeply rooted in the culture. And you can see that culture within him when he made the Louis Vuitton collab. Those Louis V sneakers, they look just like the custom sneakers that people would make, the custom Louis V sneakers that people would make. Everybody made them in the hood. Everybody wanted the Louis V monogram all over the shoe. He made that into a reality. It just hits different when you're part of the culture and when you know these things and you see it. When I learned, this is something that was crazy as well. Tremaine Emery, who is the creator of Denim Tears, and Lucas, I forgot how to say his last name, Sabat, I think it is. He was a model for, I think he was a model for a couple high-end brands. He has his own brand, and he played in Grownish, the show. Him and Tremaine were talking about Virgil, and he was like, yeah, like what do you get from whipping in the Pyrex? You get Off-White. That little tidbit like blew my mind, and I was just like, okay, bro. Like, of course I want to say R.I.P. Him and Kanye paved the way for fashion, for modern fashion, the things that we see today, the trends that we see today. They started a lot of this. They pioneered a lot of it. They let a lot of people in the door. Virgil also was a community outreach. It was some type of program where he got young people who wanted to create their own brand, and he kind of put money behind them. Like with Hypeland. Hypeland is a anime clothing brand, and they collaborate with the actual animes. Like they've collaborated with Yu-Gi-Oh! They've collaborated with Pokemon. They've collaborated with these actual brands. And so it's just crazy to see that. And the kid who created this, he's also black, and his brand is large. Like he's probably the biggest anime streetwear brand right now. Now there are some that are coming up and that are getting better at the craft, but he's one of the pioneers of that. He's the pioneer of a pioneer. It's crazy to see them from Mascot and Pastel, which technically never dropped, to where they are now. And I just love to see black men succeeding in a space that doesn't have a lot of that, or didn't have a lot of that, but has more of it because of them. And those are the architects of modern fashion, man. I thank y'all for watching all my videos, man. Y'all run up my last video. It don't got that many views, but I still appreciate everybody who watched that video as well. Yeah, man, check me out on social media too. My Instagram is mike.2nice, mike.2 and then nice. Also check out the Too Nice archive page. It's literally just Too Nice archive, one word. One thing I always say and will keep saying, man, just so nice. You had to say it twice, man. I'm gone.